taught how it is possible to meet death step by step in Krishna consciousness. In his last days, he told one of his sannyasis, "Don't think this isn't going to happen to you." Prabhupada came into this world on Krishna's request to teach us how to live a pure life of Krishna consciousness, and that includes how to finally pass away from this world to attain eternal life. Prabhupada underwent death in a way that was perfect and glorious, and at the same time in a way which we can all follow. When we have to go, we cling to the memory of how a great soul left his body, always thinking of Krishna, surrounding himself with the medicine of chanting Hare Krishna, always desiring to hear about Krishna and practicing detachment from the misery of the material condition. The last lesson was one of the most wonderful and important instructions Srila Prabhupada gave us. He taught by his life, by his books, and at the end by his dying. Education on how to die is meant especially for the human beings. An animal dies and a human being also dies, but the human being is supposed to understand the process of going back to the spiritual world at the time of death. Remaining always fixed and undisturbed in Krishna consciousness, Srila Prabhupada expertly taught the process. His passing away, therefore, was a perfect lesson and one that can be faithfully followed. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki.
Okay. Before we will start with Srimad Bhagavatam, we will chant mantra Om Namo Bhagavate. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 Okay. We will continue to read Srimad Bhagavatam, 7th canto, chapter number 2, verse 42. Is correct, Panchatattva Prabhu? 42? I hope 42 because I prepare 42. They are very connected with each other, 42 and 43. Oh, you read yesterday 42. Sorry? 42. Okay, very good. So I will read Sanskrit. These ancient books, Veda, was written in Sanskrit. We will chant Sanskrit, then translation, and then purport. Idam shariram purushasya mohajam. Idam sharira purushasya mohajam. Idam shariram purushasya mohajam. Idam sharira purushasya mohajam. Yadha pridhag bhautikam iyate griham. Yadha pridhag bhautikam yate griham. Yadha, one second. It's easy for me to read in my native language. Transliteration. 1 second. Yes. Yadhaudakai parthiva tajasair jana. Yadhaudakai kalena jata vikrito vinashyati. Kalena. Hare Krishna. Can somebody read? Idam shariram purushasya mohajam yadha pridha bhautikam yate griham yadha udaka parhaiva dachasya jana idam shariram purushasya mohajam Shariram Purushasya Mohajam. What maybe? Okay. And not so easy to read this verse. Okay, word by word. Idam, this. Shariram, body. Purushasya, of the conditioned soul. Mahajam, born of ignorance. Yadha, just as. Pridhak, separate. Bhautikam, material. Yate, is seen. Griham, a house. Yadha, just as. Dakai, with water. Arthiva, with earth. Taijasai, and with fire. Janaha, the conditioned soul. Kalina, in due course of time. Jataha, born. Vikrita, transformed. Vinashyati, is vanquished. Translation of His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Translation. Just as householder, although different from the identity of his house, thinks his house to be identical with him, the conditional soul, due to ignorance, accepts the body to be himself, although the body is actually different from the soul. This body is obtained through a combination of portions of earth, water, and fire. And when the earth, water, and fire are transformed in the course of time, the body is vanquished. The soul has nothing to do with the creation of dissolution of the body. Purport. We transmigrate from one body to another in bodies that are products of our illusion. It's very interesting that our illusion, because usually we know that this material world is God's energy, is God's dream, it's Maya, his energy and his illusion. But Srila Prabhupada, he mentioned this material world product of our illusion. This interesting detail. But as spirit souls, we always exist separately from material, always. But as spirit souls, we always exist separately from material conditioned life. Even now. Very interesting. Even now, because always means always, always exists separately from material conditioned life. The example given here is that a house or car is always different from its owner. But because of attachment, the conditioned soul thinks it to be identical with him. A car or house is actually made of material elements. As long as the material elements combine together properly, the car or house exists. And when they are disassembled, the house or the car is disassembled. The spirit soul, however, always remains as he is. Idam shariram purushasya mohajam yadha pridhag bhautikam iyate griham yadha udakai parthiva tajasai jana kalena jata vikrito vinashyati. Omagana timirandasya ginanjana shalakaya chakshurun militam yena tasmai shri gurave namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shamate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatayane Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakti Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Okay, let's discuss this topic. How are you? Okay, are you ready? Do you have interest? Yes, because this is main qualification for a person to be interested in spiritual knowledge. So it's not a formal process. So if you have no interest, it doesn't work. But if you have interest, this is qualification. Of course, speaker must have qualification, a listener must have qualification, and the most important qualification, interest in these topics. So I want to know. It's very interesting for me. So I'm glad that we are interested in this topic. And very interesting that this verse is, we can say this is foundation of Srila Prabhupada preaching, of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu message. So this is topic of Bhagavad Gita. And very interesting, so different between soul and between body, what is soul. And very interesting that before Srila Prabhupada, in our sampradaya, in our parampara, in our disciple chain, yes, that's correct. Bhagavad Gita never, so our acharya, our previous acharya in our sampradaya didn't pay so many attention to Bhagavad Gita. So only Srila Prabhupada, person who starts to put so many attention to make foundation of Bhagavad Gita, but to make made Bhagavad Gita the foundation of our movement, of our practice. Why do you think this? It was not so. Our acharya previous sampradaya didn't pay so many attention, and Srila Prabhupada started to pay attention to Bhagavad Gita and these topics. Why? What do you think?
Perhaps if you're living in like a more cultured society, the basic knowledge of Bhagavad Gita is already there. Whereas when Prabhupada came to preach to the Western countries, the basic knowledge was not there at all. So he had to really much emphasize the basics. And once you have that foundation, then you can give more. But if they don't have that fundamental, people think they're the body, then you cannot really give any higher spiritual teachings.
I was going to say a similar thing actually. Like here in the West, Traditionally speaking, we don't have so much information on the science of the soul and its relationship with the body being temporary. And then also, when Srila Prabhupada wrote the purports, he kind of gave us Krishna consciousness in a nutshell as well. You know, he spoke about things which weren't as maybe directly spoken about in the Bhagavad Gita. So Srila Prabhupada kind of encapsulated the whole message of Krishna consciousness within this one text.
In India, around 100 years ago, 120 years ago, Bhagavad Gita was taught to children in their household. Like the elder mothers, grandmothers would teach their kids Bhagavad Gita. If I also look at my ancestors, like my grandfather, my great grandfather, great grandmother, they all knew Bhagavad Gita, but with coming time, this thing started to fade, and us kids, we don't know Bhagavad Gita. My parents don't know Bhagavad Gita very well, so not just I think West, but in India also there was a need that this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita to be restored. So Srila Prabhupada gave, I think, special focus to Bhagavad Gita because the knowledge was fading away.
Yes. That's why Srila Prabhupada, we call Srila Prabhupada Samstapakacharya. Samstapakacharya, we have few types of spiritual master of acharyas in Sampradaya, and why Srila Prabhupada has his specific position, the highest position, because Srila Prabhupada Samstapaka Acharya. Samstapaka means, so if we can imagine Sampradaya, chain of disciples. So it's like line, line. And sometimes from spiritual world to this world comes some great devotees, some great souls, and they change the line, so direction of line. And Srila Prabhupada, as you can see, if you will go to history of our Sampradaya, you can see that Srila Prabhupada, and we read this in these books, Srila Prabhupada make a lot of changes in form, in external things. So Acharya, he is like a doctor, like a doctor. He see the patient, and he see his disease, and he exactly know what he needs, and he can change something. Before Srila Prabhupada, yes, like you say, everybody knows Bhagavad Gita, so it's like ABC, everyone can understand. But here, to be honest, from my experience and maybe from your experience of preaching or speaking with people, we can see that almost nobody in this world, almost nobody understand difference between soul and body. Almost nobody understand what is soul. What is mean almost nobody? You can go to Glasgow. How many people live in Glasgow? Million. And you can, why by one, 1,000, 2,000, 10,000, 100,000, million people, you can ask about soul. You can see that nobody, almost nobody, know anything. They have some, there is no soul, the soul this, all that. But really understanding, really transcendental understanding what is soul, what to say about experience, even theoretically, nobody knows what is soul. Maybe some very, very, very rare people, very little. So that's why Srila Prabhupada started to speak about this topic, this basic, the ABC. Because if you are a citizen of Glasgow, you don't need spiritual practice. If I'm from Ukraine, I don't need spiritual practice. If I'm from Lesmahego, I don't need spiritual practice. But if I'm spirit soul, I need spiritual practice. Because if I'm part of this world, why do I need all this? No. But if I understand who I am, that I'm not this body, that I'm something else, I'm spirit soul. So, oh, what is this about, all this about? I understand. And so this is basic. And I have one of my, it starts to be one of my favorite verses in Bhagavad Gita, second chapter, number 16. It sounds like, Anasato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate satah, abhayor api drishton tas, panayos tatvadarshibhi. If we read translation, but if we will read one word by word translation, it's very interesting. I like, wow, it was shocking me. Very interesting. So here we can see in word by word translation, moha jam, born, jam means born, idam this, so this, idam this, shariram body, purushasya conditioned soul, moha jam was born from moha, from ignorance or from illusion. Moha jam. Jam means was born. So this body was born from illusion. Wow, very interesting. And what is illusion? It's very interesting from Bhagavad Gita. It's not, this, I like this verse because this is not like religion, jargon, slang. Do you have these words? Slang, yes. We call illusion. Every day we have a lot of time. This illusion. So this like jargon, some slang. But no, this is real fact. And in this verse of Bhagavad Gita, we won't go in Sanskrit, but to make long story short, illusion is that changed. Something that changed. Reality is something that doesn't change. It's very practical understanding. It's very practical. If we see something changing, this is illusion. If we see something doesn't change, this is reality. Very easy to understand. Yeah, very easy to understand. If something doesn't change, never change. This is reality. Okay. And if you see something changing, this is moha. This is moha. And this is, because you can see my body. Yes, it was before 34 years ago, was no this body. It was like, some material elements. But now we can see this body, hair, some bones, some skin, some white things, and so on, many things. But after, I don't know how many, 30, 40 years, 10 years, I don't know, nobody knows. It will again disappear. So is this reality? It will change. So this is body will go. It was not before. It won't be in future. And what is reality? What is reality? And spiritual scriptures says to us something that doesn't change. In this body, there is something that doesn't change. It's me and you. What is your name, Natasha? Yeah. Huh? Adriana. Who are you? Who are you? Yes. Yes. So this is sincere answer. This is sincere answer because when we have passed some time in Krishna consciousness, we become very, very theoretically, and we can easily answer in any question. But it will be maybe some theoretical thing. But in reality, can I answer in reality who I am? Can I answer in reality? Okay, but theoretically, we start to understand that I'm something. Veda knowledge usually use this form of rejection. So no, not this. And this verse from Bhagavad Gita also. Nasato vitade bhavo na bhava. Not this. A lot of, if you go in Sanskrit, you can see a lot of rejection. No. So not this, and who? very interesting question. So, and I have not so many time, but I have a story for you. And I was shocked because I heard this. This story can help us to feel this, to have darshan, to feel this, to feel something that doesn't change, to see the different what is changed, and something doesn't change. Because theory, okay, it's okay, but this is a real story. And I heard this story for first time 11, 12 years ago, but when I yesterday started to prepare, I started to make some research. I was shocked that it connects with Scotland. The story connects with Scotland, with Edinburgh, and with London. And before I heard London, Scotland, it was like another planet. Yes, many years ago. But now I'm here, and yesterday I was shocked that I visited these places in this story. Maybe somebody knows, but I asked Panchatattva Prabhu. He said that I can tell the story if somebody knows the story. Not a problem. Can you show picture of I sent of one lady who knows the story? Please raise your hand. This is a story about Mataji Ratnavali. Who knows the story? Okay. Yes. Okay. It's not very important, but I like to show some pictures because it more connection with story. And usually I use music, but no without music now. Okay. Mataji Ratnavali. This is one lady. She was born in London in Indian family in 1975. And her parents was, her father was car mechanic. It's okay, car mechanic, as he was working with cars. So this, I will tell you story. This like step by step. Who know this story? Raise your hand. Okay. But there is a lot of details, a lot of. It's very very long story, but I make it short to we have no time. The main points. I will tell you this story step by step, and you in the end you will see the whole story. It's very connected with this verse. It's like video which will illustrate these words of Srila Prabhupada. We transmigrate from one body to another in bodies that are products of illusion. Because these stories illustrate this. So this lady, her name was not Ratnavali. She will in Ratnavali in future, but okay, let's name her Ratnavali. She was born in Indian family in 1975. Only this picture, no many pictures. In family of car mechanic. Her parents traditionally has altar and worship demigods, and a lot of demigods. There was Krishna. Between the demigods was also Krishna. And she, when she was very young, she found Srila Prabhupada's book in shelf. And when she took Srila Prabhupada book, she was young. She saw Srila Prabhupada's picture. You don't have Srila Prabhupada picture here, but maybe here. Yes. She don't remember what this book was about, but she took some Srila Prabhupada's book from picture, and she immediately, she was very young, but she felt some connection with Srila Prabhupada. She don't know who it was. And she feel that Srila Prabhupada calls her back to home. This was her feeling. She don't know what it was because she was new to this, and she didn't know this man. And okay, she put this back, this book, and story goes on. In October 1991, she visited school, and she was brutally attacked at school by one crazy man who was under the drugs. This man took a metal bar and started to beat her, kick her. He was kicking on her head, and she tried to protect herself, but metal bar, you understand, so difficult to protect yourself from metal bar. So she was very, very, it was very painful for her, and she can't do nothing. He was powerful, and he was under the drugs, and he was kicking and beating. And in this moment, she was beaten. She felt that she is not her body, that she is somebody inside her body. And it was evening and nobody around. And she tried to cry, but nobody helped. And what she started to do, she started to pray. Because when you start to pray, usually, when you have no other, nobody can help you, sincere. And she began to pray, God, please, if you exist, please help me. Please help me. And immediately she felt voice in herself, inside herself, from the inside. And this voice began to guide her. Pretend you are dead. So you can imagine, yes, some voice inside you speak with you. And this voice said, pretend that you are dead. And she said that I fell down and pretend that I'm dead. The man stopped and left, and the voice inside said, now open your eyes and run away as quickly as you can. But she was very, very damaged, and it was difficult for her, but she tried her best. She but she has no strength to do this. But voice said, if you don't get up now, he will come back, and then nothing will help you. And so she stand up and go away. So 1 year passed. In 1992, she said, I met a devotee in the in the place where I lived in London. And devotee sell me some books, and I bought some books. And when I started to read these books, I began to feel the same voice that had protected me year before. So it was Bhagavad Gita. And she started to read, and this voice, because Bhagavad Gita, this is Son of God. And she immediately felt this is the same voice was inside. So not material voice, understand? What is voice? Difficult to understand, but she felt the same voice, And then after some time, she visited deities of Radha Londoneshwara temple in Soho. We visited 2 weeks ago, yes, for first time. I was glad. And I was shocked when I started to prepare yesterday that it's connected with, and I was visit all these places. Wow, I know these places. And who was in London temple, Soho? His deities was installed by Srila Prabhupada, and the name of deity is Radha London Ishwara. And when she came to this temple for the first time and see the deities, she felt again, voice came from here. This is his voice. It was his voice. The same voice in her heart, the deities, Krishna on the altar, and the Bhagavad Gita, the same voice. And then she decided to dedicate her life to the deities. She started to worship deities, started to serve. And immediately she started very, very active in Harinam. So she liked Harinams, and she started to play this gem. Very, very good. She was very, very good. And you all, I think you all know Tribhuvanat Prabhu, yes. And she, when she met him in London, she immediately she felt some connection with him. Wow! And she started to visit all Harinams with him. Tribhuvanat Prabhu was once one of the saints of ISKCON, and he was very, very dedicated to this process of chanting on the streets, of preaching, of festivals, and so on and so on. And she felt connection and started to help him and to play on every Harinam in this Nidam jump. And Tribhuvanat Prabhu liked her and asked, came. And immediately some connection. And she started to be devotee, and in 1997 she got married, and in 1999 she got initiation. She was initiated by Bhakti Charaswami, and he gave her name Ratnavali Devidasi. And she likes Harinam and start to travel to the different cities with this group of Tribhuvanat Prabhu. And she was singing and playing this drum non-stop. And one day, when she was, they have 24 hours Harinam chanting, and she was very, very enthusiastic in this. And Tribhuvanat Prabhu, she was very thin and sick, so her body was not so powerful. And when Tribhuvanat saw, he said, have a rest, because you will die if you will continue in this enthusiasm 24 hours every day. So you will die, and have a rest. And immediately from her mouth, these words came out. It's better to drop dead in Harinama than in car incident. And she didn't understand why she said this. Why it's better to die, okay, in Harinam, but why in car incident? She don't know why she said these words. And story go on. In 2001, she dreamed that she has a dream. She has a dream that she was sitting in front of Srila Prabhupada. She saw Srila Prabhupada in her dream. And Srila Prabhupada in this dream, Srila Prabhupada asked her to come, and he was like glad. How you call this? Yes, in this dream. And she was crying. She sees Srila Prabhupada, and Srila Prabhupada said in this dream, now many people are trying to understand where are you, but don't worry, just go deeper in your chanting. Another strange thing. And another detail, her husband, during communication with the Guru, Bhakti Charaswami, her husband said to her that he was joking that I'm behaved so way that it looked like I was brahmachari in my past life. It was like a joke. It was like a joke, but another detail. In autumn 2001, she has another dream, that she is somewhere in Scotland, in some park, and she is walking and chanting japa. It was very detailed dream. She saw a lot of details, things, in somewhere in Scotland. But as you know, after some time, Tribhuvanat Prabhu left his body, and it was like memorial evening. And one devotee named Krishna Das, he came and among many things, many devotees were speaking about glorifying Tribhuvanat Prabhu. One devotee opened his heart and he said, his name was Krishna Das. Because of my mistake, one devotee left the body. But in that moment, when Ratnavali heard this thing, immediately from her heart, voice was, no, not this is not true. I'm here. I'm here. And she was shocked. What is this? What is this? She cannot understand. So a lot of details. In her story, more details, but I make a long story short. And in the end, all these details come together. And there is much more details I can have no time to mention, but after some time she felt something strange, because she felt some connection with Srila Prabhupada disciples, because Srila Prabhupada disciples is senior devotees for us. And in Vaishnava culture, we have respect senior devotees, and we are not familiar with them. So not like, hello, my friend. No. Senior devotees, we have some distance, we have some... we have big respect, but she felt that she like very close with many Srila Prabhupada's disciples. To be honest, after some time, her marriage will be destroyed, and because she never weighed herself like a woman. It was not interested to have children, to have some relationship with men, and so on. So they get married, but it was not very good, and after some time divorced, because she felt herself like not a woman. She felt like a brahmachari, and she was behaving like brahmachari. Brahmachari is mean monk, so person who dedicate his life to spiritual life. And she start investigation. And she asked her guru, Bhaktichara Swami, and she told all these many details, and she said that I feel some connection. That Bhaktichara Swami said to her, okay, go and make past life regression. In London, in that time, maybe now, they have some devotees who were serious in this, and before it was next step. And she started investigation. There was some devotee, disciple of Srila Prabhupada, who was brahmachari in London, and who loved Harinams, who was attached to Tribhuvanat Prabhu, and who died something around 1974, because she was born in 1975, and from theory we know, yes, and she started to make this investigation. 74, maybe. Attached to Tribhuvanat Prabhu, attached to Harinama, Srila Prabhupada disciple from London, and make this investigation. And it was shocked, but there was some devotee called Raghava Das Brahmachari, and you can now show next photo. He was born in 1954, and he left his body in 1973. He was born in Glasgow. Also. Wow, in Glasgow. And at the age of 17, he joined a temple in Edinburgh. They were very attached to each other with Tribhuvanat Prabhu. So Tribhuvanat Prabhu spent some time somewhere, maybe in Glasgow, I don't know, and they were attached. This Raghava Das Brahmachari and Tribhuvanat Prabhu were very close friends. And there is a lot of stories how when they see each other, they start to chant and to jump, to make kirtan with karatals. If there is no karatal, without karatals, so we're very close to each other, and they like Harinam very much. He also then he lived in temple in London and even in Manor after Glasgow, this brahmachari. Maybe that's why connection with Tribhuvanat Prabhu, maybe there. So in 1973, this Raghava Das Brahmachari, he got initiation from Srila Prabhupada, and the next day they went from Edinburgh to Newcastle, to distribute books, and it was crash, car accident. And this Raghava Das Brahmachari died on the next day after initiation, Srila Prabhupada initiation. And he, in this car accident, he was like cut, his body was cut in this place. So it was damaged. No. Yes. And yes, Brahmachari. And yes, story goes on. And Srila Prabhupada, when a devotee knew this, and they said to Srila Prabhupada, and Srila Prabhupada, there is a letter to Revatinandana Swami. There is letter from Srila Prabhupada according to this accident. You should have should have memory evening regarding to Raghava Das Brahmachari, these words of Srila Prabhupada, and pray that Krishna gives his soul a chance to be born in a place where he can progress further in Krishna consciousness. This way Srila Prabhupada words. And then they made this memorable evening, and so on and so on. And they pray, and so on. In 2001, I accept Tamal Krishna Goswami as my Shiksha Guru. And so after discussing with him and my Guru, Bhaktichara Swami, my strange feelings, they recommend me to go and have a past life regression, hypnosis, past life regression. So this is mystical process, psychology, mystical process when we can remember our previous life. So go deep in our chitta, in our subconsciousness memory, and we can remember something from our past lives. And and in this past life regression, I saw myself as a brahmachari playing next musical instrument next to Tribhuvanatha Prabhu on Harinamas. I also saw Srila Prabhupada, she said. And after this past regression, she started dreaming. She has a lot of dreams about car accident. So almost every day she has the dreams, car accident, car accident, car accident, car accident, and she saw this. And she remembered this Krishna Das Prabhu, Krishna Das, Mataji Ratnavali. Remember this Krishna Das. Krishna Das was driving this car, and when they were traveled from Edinburgh to Newcastle, he slept, go to sleep. And the car accident, he's okay, but Raghava Das Brahmachari was dead, and he was like, his body was damaged. And she remembered this Krishna Das Brahmachari. You see it now difficult. So he or she start to be difficult to he or she, and very interesting that in her life, in this life, she has a problem with understanding. She or he, who I am, because I don't talk about this detail, but she remember a lot of things. Her parents in previous life, she went to her previous parents. She went to her previous house, and so on. So many. She make investigation, documentary, a lot of documents, and so she spoke with a lot of relatives in previous life, and so on and so on. Many details. And when you see this, one thing when this is theory for you, but when you start to see this, it's a little bit really shock. And very interesting. She died in car accident, and her parents was in London, and she born in London, and her parents were car mechanic, connected with cars. He died in previous life, and he was damaged here. And in next life, Ratnavali Devidasi, has problem with her stomach, and visit doctors many times. And she has, how you call this? Signs on her. Yes, scars. and she was and a lot of details, other details, and when all this comes out, her guru asked him. He joked, "Well, Ratnavali, tell me how you became a woman." Why? Why you're Indian woman now? He was joking, and she was shocked. Really, why I'm a woman body? And we know from Bhagavad Gita, the last thing you remember before you died, this is the start of your next life. And she started to make. She continued her investigation, and. She went to this Krishna Das, and he was very, very upset because he was a reason that his friend died. And he punished himself for many, many years. Psychology, he has a problem that he was a reason. And this lady, Ratnavali Devidasi, with her husband, came to this devotee at home. And step by step, explain him all these things. That I'm here, no problem. And he was shocked. He can't believe it was very difficult. But she started to discuss with him topics only they together knew about. And he was like, whoa. It's really shock. It's really shock. When you understand that you're not this body in real, it's a little bit difficult. Because we are usually very attached to these bodies. And a very funny story, when they came to this devotee in the temple and they go to his home, they travel by car. And when they, during their travel by car, this door where Ratnavali Devidasi was sitting was opening during the drive. And this Krishna Das stopped, goes out, take the door and close the door and said, "Don't worry, with me you're in the safe. You can feel very safe." And it was very funny because in previous life he killed her and now he don't know this, and he said, "With me you can feel you safe, very safe." And they were laughing with his husband, and they went to his home and discussed all these topics. And she started, why Indian lady? Why an Indian body? And she continued investigation, and they start to spoke with a lot of devotees who remember Raghava Das Brahmachari, and they stopped. If there was some Indian lady who Raghava Das Brahmachari was attached to, because psychology is that when you died, in the moment when you died, you can't pretend. You can't pretend. You will die the person who you are. And everything is very important for you, really important, not a theory. I can visit Srimad Bhagavatam classes, but think about so many things. This is very important things for me, really. And when I'm in the process of dying, all these attachments, real attachments, comes out. So when Raghava Das Brahmachari was killed died in this car accident, he remembered this Indian lady. He was secret, tiny. Secret, he felt in love with her. It was a secret, nobody knows, but you cannot cheat. You cannot cheat death. You cannot cheat death. You could cheat anyone. You can cheat yourself. You can cheat everyone, but you cannot cheat death. Immediately he remembered this girl. Next life, Indian lady, car mechanic family in London, in devotee, more or less devotee family, Srila Prabhupada's books, and so on and so on and so on. This problem with stomach, this connection with devotees. And yes, they remember, yes, it was Indian lady. Her name was Satyavati. She helped on the kitchen to cut to chop vegetables, And yes, this Krishna Das wife, remember, yes, his behavior was very strange near her. He has started to, no, you know, he was behavior. He was very strange. He was some aggression on her, or sometimes he cannot remember something. So she saw that she have some feelings to this lady. Okay, Ratnavali said in this life, okay, I will go to this lady. They found her address and took some Mahaprasadam. Another story, I heard that she stopped her Krishna consciousness the most many years ago, and she was not interested in Krishna consciousness. But Ratnavali took prasadam, Mahaprasadam, and this lady opened the door. He was shocked. She was shocked. Ratnavali was shocked. Copy. Indian lady, the same eyes, the same nose, the same ears, the same face, the same hairstyle, the same, like two sisters. And in these lectures, when Ratnavali now she's told the story, she has photo of this lady, Satyavati. And in this moment, she opened this photo and shows, like two sisters, like two sisters. Wow, wow. Yes. Okay. This a lot of we have no time. A lot of details in this story. But what the point? Srila Prabhupada says, we transmigrate from one body to another bodies. And this story shows, we can feel from this story what is real, what doesn't change. Something inside this Raghava, Das Brahmachari, this Ratnavali, and many pastimes and future lives won't change, but something is changing. Hare Krishna, devotees. I'm sorry, I have no time to continue. I need to make some conclusion, but I have no time to make some conclusion. Don't want to torture you more. Hare Krishna. Do you have some ideas, questions, commentaries?
When it comes to Raghava Das being a disciple of Prabhupada, and then later getting new name, getting new guru, it's very interesting to see guru is one, but could you explain a little bit how does it work when you have that personal relationship with the spiritual master, but then it doesn't seem there's a new spiritual master?
It's very good question. You know why? Because when I heard first time this story from my guru, he was explaining answer on your question. They were discussing Guru Tattva, and they were discussing Srila Prabhupada's and other gurus. It's very interesting. The answer I heard from my guru, and he heard from Ratnavali Devidasi, that why she choose Bhakti Chara Swami as her guru, because she felt Srila Prabhupada in his instructions, in his mission, in his preaching, and so on and so on. This is our philosophy. This is our ISKCON philosophy, if you could say it. So ISKCON situation, that all our gurus, not separate gurus. They are not like some separate persons. No, they are servants of Srila Prabhupada. They are helpers of Srila Prabhupada. And this is correct vision. I don't see my guru separate from Srila Prabhupada. I see my guru sitting in front of lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada. That's why this is correct understanding. So I feel through my guru, I feel Srila Prabhupada. Because Srila Prabhupada for us, this is the main guru. This is like Acharya, this is Sakshat Hari. So Krishna sent Srila Prabhupada, and Srila Prabhupada sent our gurus. That's why she was okay with this initiation, even when she remembered Srila Prabhupada, because she felt connection with Srila Prabhupada through her It's okay. Do you have some questions? Something else? No, okay. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Srila Prabhupada Patita Pavana ki jai. Nitai Gaura Premanande Hare Hare Bo.
His Grace Karuna Chandra Prabhu ki.